It's the weekend, so you know what that means. We got another scary reaction video, and today we're gonna be reacting to Nick Crowley, one of my favorites. There's a lot I haven't seen from him, but from what I've seen, his content is really amazing. But what's good, everyone? It's me, TaylorMoralde, and this is something that we do every single weekend. It is currently 3:42 in the morning. I always gotta do it at this time, don't I? Always adds to the effect. But yeah, guys, I also take suggestions, so let me know what else you guys want to see. But make sure you guys got your snacks. Keep your feet under the blanket, cause it's gonna get spooky. But let's waste no more time, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, guys, we got Mr. Swirl, the internet's most disturbed user. This one looked really interesting, and it is one of his most popular videos. Thailand, early 2000s.
Pattaya, Thailand. Two young brothers enter a local internet cafe.
See, look at the editing
take their
on this,
seats,
it's crazy.
and begin playing their favorite games. One boy was 13, and the other just 8. And together, they sat there and played the way they always did, getting lost in their screens, wasting the day away, until one of the boys felt a tap on his shoulder. Standing there beside them was a similarly aged child, a stranger to the boys, but a friendly one who strikes up a conversation and eventually poses an offer. According to the unnamed child, he had a friend who lived close by that owned a special computer, one far better than the device they were currently using, and one that had any game you could ever dream of playing. And he was headed to that friend's home right now, but he didn't want to go alone. It was an offer that the boys just couldn't refuse.
Smart kid.
And considering the child was clearly around their age, they saw no red flags and agreed to go with him, following the boy to a nearby apartment building, then up 7 flights of stairs and into a dark room.
We don't got an elevator?
But waiting for them inside that room wasn't some sort of supercharged computer, and it surely wasn't a friend of the boys. And instead, it was a monster in every sense of the word. A depraved soul who, years down the line, would go on to become one of the most notorious predators ever to walk this earth, an entity known only at the time as Mr. Swirl. And these children had just fallen into his trap.
I'm getting chills right now, like no joke. See, look at this editing. This is like top production. Nick Crowley presents Mr. Swirl. Here we go, guys.
Hey guys, I just wanted to announce that I'm currently working on 2 collaborative...
I respect the hustle, my boy, but we gotta get to it.
It's unclear if they knew what they were looking for, or if they had just happened upon it by pure chance. But in 2004, German police entered a long-forgotten storage unit, where beneath the piles of junk and old appliances, they'd unearth a single hard drive. Once plugged into the computer, the device revealed hundreds of images, some showing various locations, breathtaking scenery, delicious meals, and...
Don't say it.
CP. The images showed scenes of depraved sexual abuse being
disgusting.
done to individuals who were clearly minors, with this abuse being far worse than you'd ever imagine. And it wasn't just one child either, as across that hard drive seemed to be evidence of multiple separate instances of abuse, including images of 3 young boys taken in a dark apartment building. The discovery was horrid, though sadly all in a day's work for investigators who encountered things of this nature on a daily basis, and it's a discovery that likely would have never been discussed by the media after that one day, had it not been for one unusual detail. Typically, in cases involving CP, those taking the photographs and performing the actual abuse will almost always go out of their way to ensure that they aren't shown on camera. That way, if authorities should stumble upon it, they would essentially be unidentifiable. However, the dozens of photos found on this particular hard drive were different. Because rather than hiding just out of frame like all the other predators seemed to do, the man behind these images had instead gone out of his way to ensure he was featured within them, shamelessly inserting himself into every single picture, even posing for them, before, during, and after he had changed the lives of these kids forever. And although his entire body was shown in these photographs, the only thing hiding his identity was the addition of a single effect, one that swirled the man's face into a distorted, pixelated mess, making him completely unrecognizable, and leaving his face to look like this.
That's
There was
Mr.
something
Swirl.
so disturbingly
That's so-
arrogant about it. A man posing with his victims while
disturbing.
destroying their lives, hiding behind only a single swirl of color, almost as if he was taunting any investigators who might eventually find these images.
Nah, the fact that, okay, not only is he a child predator, but to pose with them before, after, and go out of your way to even swirl your face like that, and like you said, it could be like him taunting. You just have to be such a sick individual to do that.
And
I
given
hope
the
we get
clear
justice in the
indications that
end.
this man was obviously a serial abuser, and likely still out there offending, tracking this anonymous figure down became priority one for law enforcement in the area. And it's there that he would be given his nickname, Mr. Swirl. And with the swirl being the only thing standing in the way of investigators getting to see his face, most would have assumed that identifying him would be a walk in the park. However, this was far from the case.
They can't just like edit the
As the
picture?
images began to be dissected, it quickly became apparent that deciphering the sensor was going to be far more difficult than initially thought, and potentially even impossible,
This
as the
is
pixels had been
sick.
scrambled in such a unique way that there wasn't any known method to unscramble it. And quickly,
okay.
what should have been their most valuable clue, the one that stood so tantalizingly close, became a lost cause, leaving investigators at their first dead end. Realizing that things were about to get much more difficult, the German police enlisted the help of an agency known as Interpol, an international crime-stopping organization with a special unit dedicated to resolving crimes against children. Interpol immediately began to get to work, attempting to decipher the photos in a different way, this time by using context clues in the pictures to track down where exactly they were taken, which in turn could tell them where this man was from and where the abuse was taking place. But this too unearthed yet another problem. The first batch of images was discovered to have come from Cambodia, but the next showed evidence that the man was in Vietnam, and then in Thailand, and potentially even South Korea as well.
No
Rather
way
than
he
gaining
went around the
clarity,
world doing
the
this.
locations of these images instead made the search even wider, as the man was seemingly traveling from country to country, committing his crimes
weird.
and then fleeing, thus never staying long enough for law enforcement to catch up with him, making it completely unclear to investigators where he was actually from. And given just how vast his travels were, at this point, it was realized that Mr. Swirl could be anywhere, a moving target, so to speak, and an active one as well. During the investigation, which would later be dubbed Operation Vico, in reference to Vietnam and Cambodia, which seemed to be the main sites of his abuse, investigators made a disturbing discovery: that Mr. Swirl's photographs were not exclusive to just that hard drive, as photo after photo began to appear on various online forums, with all of them featuring that disturbed, swirling face. The images were shared across the web, seemingly straight from the man himself.
So now
and
he's
were
doing
sent
this
out
for
to
the
various
attention.
predatory groups that were filled with individuals just as sick as he was. Within these groups, it was considered a badge of honor to show your body and face within the content you made, thus leading to the sender becoming well respected among his peers, which showed us two things. One, that this was likely the reason why Mr. Swirl inserted himself in these photos, as it had led to him becoming a beloved member of their twisted community. In turn,
To want to have a reputation like that in this type of stuff is so sickening.
granting him access to all the
They got
CP he
for
could want.
Jadeon and
two,
Chris
that
Hansen,
the
all
images
those
found
guys.
on the hard drive did not account for his whole body of work, as in these chat rooms and forums, police would find far more photos featuring their suspect, raising the total from a few dozen to nearly 300. By this point, Mr. Swirl had been untraceable. Authorities were essentially searching for a ghost, and though these new images must have felt like a gut punch at first, they would eventually prove to be integral to their investigation, as for the first time in their hunt, Mr. Swirl had made a key error.
Let's go.
Within these postings, Mr. Swirl had forgotten to hide his IP address, in turn revealing the general area in which they had been sent, with the location being Vancouver, Canada. This break revealed the key detail that he had some sort of
He's on the
tie to
other side of the
Vancouver,
world.
and that he was likely a sex tourist, someone who travels to countries that have loose laws around their age of consent.
I've never
in order
heard
to
of that.
Be able to abuse children without any repercussions. With Mr. Swirl clearly doing the same thing, visiting multiple countries in Asia, making his material, coming home, and then sharing it with his friends. It certainly didn't solve the case, but it was finally a step in the right direction. And unbeknownst to the team working on Operation Vico, they were quickly approaching an even bigger revelation. As authorities were working hard on pinning down Mr. Swirl's location, some members of the team held on hope that the images themselves could still be unscrambled, and upon digging a bit deeper, one member of the team would actually recognize the swirl as having come from a fairly standard editing program, which revealed something. The swirl effect wasn't like a typical sensor or blur. Those effects completely mask or even remove the pixels from the actual photograph, making them nearly impossible to decipher. But this effect did neither of those things, and
they
instead,
could just
it
unswirl it, I'm
simply
assuming?
rearranged the pixels of the man's face into a swirling pattern, meaning that this image still contained all of its original pixels, and Mr. Swirl's face was somewhere in this picture. They just had to piece it together. And so, in what must have felt like a Hail Mary at the time, an investigator put one of the images into that very same editing software, then clicked that very same swirl effect, and simply reversed it. Which in turn led to this.
Let's see the guy.
In an investigation that started all the way back in 2004, finally,
I'm not trying to be that guy, but he looks like the type to do this kind of stuff. Not saying be judgmental, but sometimes you gotta be judgmental.
Mr. Swirl's face was revealed with a single click.
Let's go.
3 years later, confirming not only what the man looked like, but also that it was truly just one man
he
behind the
looks creepy.
swirl. And now, all they had to do was
Look at
find
the
him.
eyes.
Interpol first started their search by sending this man's image to
I know he
every
was
single
shitting
police
bricks when
station
he
the network had access to,
maybe found out
asking
that
if
they had a
anyone
clue.
across the world had a criminal in their database who might match this photo, but this attempt would fall flat, indicating that whoever this man was, he likely had no prior criminal record. Time was clearly of the essence, and they knew that with every waking moment, Mr. Swirl could be adding to his list of growing victims. And wanting to act fast, Interpol made a fairly unprecedented decision. They reached out to every single major news outlet across the world and asked them to show this man's face on their broadcast to help bring this predator to justice.
I know he was nervous.
Additionally, the images of Mr. Swirl's face were also plastered in all corners of the internet, and within just one day, the story was quite literally everywhere. What started as a small search for an anonymous man had become an international manhunt overnight, and within just hours, Mr. Swirl would be anonymous no more.
Our top news story this hour, the worldwide search for a suspected pedophile is concentrated in Thailand this morning. We now know the suspect is a Canadian. The CBC's Michael McAuliffe reports from Bangkok.
This morning, Interpol announced they now believe they know who the man is. He's been identified as a Canadian, 32-year-old Christopher Paul Neal.
His name is Christopher Paul Neal. Not only did Neal's face and body match perfectly with Mr. Swirl, but he also had grown up just outside of Vancouver where the IP was tracked to. And he had moved from country to country across Asia in recent years, countries like Cambodia, Vietnam, and Thailand. The resemblance was so undeniable that even one of his own family members came forward to help identify him. Christopher Neal was in fact Mr. Swirl, a discovery that came with some disturbing revelations. As it turns out, Christopher Neal was actually working as a children's English teacher, a job he had held in each of the countries he was discovered to have abused young boys in, making it likely that he used this position of power to lure in children from his classes to eventually abuse them and share their photos online. Along with this, it was also revealed that he had used his relationships with young boys to help lure in other children for him to assault. As looking back on the story that started this video, he had recruited a clueless child he knew to lure those two brothers back to his apartment. This discovery also shined a spotlight on his social media pages, and specifically his MySpace page, where he chillingly wrote, "Loving Asia, will I ever come back?" while in the midst of his abuse spree. But for me, one of the most shocking revelations was that those images that he had posted during the investigation weren't actually posted to his computer. At some point in the early 2000s, Neal had stopped home for a brief vacation to visit his family, and while there, he decided to upload all of his CP to his internet friends. But rather than using his personal device or a public computer, he instead broke into his own brother's laptop and uploaded his content there. That way, the images would be tracked to his brother and not him, which explained why he never bothered to hide his IP address. The more they learned, the more disturbed the story became, as even at the time they discovered his identity, it was revealed that he had currently been working in South Korea as a teacher. But when the officers arrived to arrest the man, he was already long gone. Having certainly seen his face all over the news, Christopher made the decision to flee the country, being spotted in this image captured at an airport in Thailand, as he had flown to the country likely in an attempt to find refuge. Throughout the following days and weeks, his likeness would turn up time and time again in the country, indicating that he was somewhere in Thailand hiding out. And having cornered him in the region, it wouldn't take long for police to knock on the door of an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere, in which Christopher Neal happened to be hiding, bringing the multi-year search for Mr. Swirl to an end.
Yo, they're good at hunting someone down. Man, don't hide his face. What a coward.
Following his arrest by Thai police, Neal will be charged for his assault on those 3 young boys
He better
from
got
an internet
life.
cafe, as it was the only crime they could prove had taken place in their country, and with it carried a prison sentence of 5 years.
No
Admittedly,
way!
The sentencing was light, but the plan was to have Neal turned over to Canadian authorities after he did his time in Thailand,
Okay.
where they would also prosecute him all over again.
Thank God.
With the hope being that they could do the same thing with countries like Cambodia and Vietnam, and essentially force him to live out his life in prison.
There's your world
However,
tour
when
right
the sentence
there.
was completed in 2012, and Christopher was deported back to Canada, the shocking decision was made to allow Christopher Neal to walk free.
Bro.
When Neal was detained in Canada, authorities let him walk under the condition that he would never own a device that connected to the internet again, as well as the agreement that he would stay away from parks, schools, and also register as a sex offender. I can't for the life of me understand why this decision was made, but from what I could gather, it seemed to center around the fact that his crimes were international, and that none of his other victims had actually come forward, meaning the other countries they had hoped would prosecute never actually bothered to pursue it.
So sad.
And because his crimes didn't happen on Canadian soil, not much could really be done, legally speaking. And so in the end, the hunt for Mr. Swirl ended up lasting almost as long as the sentence he served. And even after everything this man did, he was let loose and allowed to assimilate back into society.
I wonder what job
But
he
this
got
isn't
after
where our
this.
story ends. Not even a full year later in 2013,
Don't tell me
it would
he
be
did it again.
uncovered that Christopher Neal had somehow managed to purchase a computer, and also connected to the internet, a clear violation of his conditions. And though he claimed it was just for writing a book about his life experiences, when investigators seized the device, they would, unsurprisingly, find even more CP.
Oh
25
my
images to
God.
be exact, including 2 with his signature swirling face. As it turns out, Christopher had been using the device to contact his fellow pedophile friends, where he would even message one of his disturbed friends right after his release, saying, "The swirl liveth still," proving without a shadow of a doubt that he was remorseless about his crimes, and took pride in his new nickname.
Dude's smiling.
And somehow, the discovery got even worse from there, as it was revealed that a friend of his had shown him how to access the deep web, and how to share these photographs in practically an untraceable way,
Oh
thus allowing
my
him to
God,
continue
bro. It
being
just gets
active
worse
in
and
these
worse.
predatory groups, no matter what restrictions were placed on him. After Canadian police made this discovery, Christopher would yet again be arrested, and this time they had the chance to really send a message and put him away forever, as clearly letting him walk away the first time was a mistake, as he wasn't reformed even in the slightest. And so, to make up for this, the judge would give Christopher Neal the whopping sentence
Come on.
of just 5.5 years, with time served, meaning that he would only end up in jail for a little over 14 months.
Bro.
The prosecution praised the sentence as a win, and Christopher vowed to change his ways, but it just doesn't sit right that as of
change.
2016, Mr. Swirl, the man responsible for dozens and dozens of instances of extreme child abuse, which by the way are just the ones that we know of, is a free man, now living a normal life in Vancouver. And worst of all, he now has access to share this material through untraceable avenues, meaning that there is a good chance that he could still be out there obtaining, sharing, and who knows, maybe even producing his content. The case of Mr. Swirl is such a frustrating one. For once, a case of this nature gained worldwide attention and was pursued by the full extent of the law, with the folks over at Interpol doing a fantastic job with the case, only for it all to be deflated once he was finally captured. And just knowing that he's out there living a normal life after all this, after all the lives that he's forever affected, makes this one of the most disheartening cases we've covered to date.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, that one actually hurt. I'm just sometimes very confused with like the court system and whatever, because I see like some little petty crimes or whatever, like some cases that are maybe less severe, maybe they get like 20 plus years, and then we have something like this. And I know they said it wasn't on Canadian soil or whatever, but for someone to also do what they did, get arrested for it, go to jail for 5 years, come back out and do it again, still get the 5 years with the time served, I just don't understand. That's like another slap on the wrist. It's very confusing and frustrating. And you actually do see a lot of people that do crimes like this as well. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like from the Dahmer show, I remember when he got arrested, didn't he feel pride in what he did? Because a lot of people were treating him like a celebrity, sending him money. He actually like owned up to what he did, not in that way, but in a way as like, I'm gonna wear it as a badge of honor, kind of. And I feel like that's what this guy did too. And because of that, he ended up being his own downfall, and he ended up getting caught in the end. But the fact that he did all that, went country to country, teacher, tried to set his brother up, it's sickening to know that people like this are around or have these type of thoughts, and that this guy is still around till this day. A lot of people like this don't change and can't change. They really need mental help. It's very sickening. Imagine you have your own children and you got to worry about people like that. But alright guys, that's our Nick Crowley reaction. I really love the video. Obviously I don't like the stuff that goes on. His material is really good. Editing is great. Very great storyteller. Let me know if you guys want me to check out more from Nick Crowley. I am enjoying this. But thank you for watching the video today guys. If you guys are new, appreciate if you drop a like, sub, comment, and turn on post notifications. All my socials are down below. I got 2 gaming videos for you guys next week and a scary reaction video. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see next. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Take care. Love y'all.